Biological diversity is much more than just the diversity of species. It also includes genetic diversity within a species, the range of properties and functions. And it goes even further. Biodiversity also includes the interactions between species and the diversity of the ecosystems. We could say biodiversity is the matrix of life, and it's threatened. The diversity of species and habitats is decreasing. We're in the midst of a biodiversity crisis. iDiv is the German Centre for Integrative Biodiversity Research, with locations in Halle, Jena and Leipzig, and many research projects across the globe.
Also die Aufgaben der Biodiversitätsforschung in iDiv sind die Biodiversität auf der Erde umfassend kennenlernen, auf der einen Seite aber auch verstehen, was sie für uns bedeutet und auch Wege aufzeigen, wie wir mit Biodiversität wirtschaften können und nicht dagegen.
At the heart of iDiv are YDiv and SDiv. YDiv is the graduate school for PhD candidates doing interdisciplinary research. The Synthesis Centre SDiv is a think tank of international biodiversity research and quite unique in Germany. Scientists from around the world and from many disciplines come together in regular workshops and seminars. They bring in their ideas, methods, data and experience in order to find answers to the global questions on biodiversity.
Das zentrale Problem bei der Erfassung von biologischer Vielfalt ist, dass wir noch sehr viel Arbeit vor uns haben. Und während wir inventarisieren, werden gleichzeitig schon die Regale leergeräumt. Die Orte, die eine besonders hohe biologische Vielfalt haben, sind sehr schwer zugänglich. Das gilt zum Beispiel für die Tiefsee, das gilt für Böden, aber das gilt auch für Baumkronen.
To better understand the interrelations within biodiversity, iDiv runs large-scale field trials, such as the Jena experiment and BEF China, and participates in the Global Change Experimental Facility in Bad Lauchstädt. But at iDiv, biodiversity research doesn't only happen outdoors.
Chemical and molecular analysis are very important for biodiversity patterns, as they are the underlying mechanisms of interactions between organisms, for example between plants and herbivores. To find out about these interactions, I design experiments here in the lab, where I expose plants to these above and below ground herbivores, and then I take samples that I analyze in the lab to see what the plant's responses are.
With the data obtained in the laboratory and in the field, high-performance computers allow for new kinds of experiments.
Wir lassen in Computermodellen einzelne Arten wie den Sperber, den Grauwal oder den Löwen aussterben und schauen uns die Konsequenzen für alle anderen koexistierenden Arten in dem gleichen Ökosystem über Millionen von Jahren an. Dieses Vorgehen wäre ethisch in der Landschaft nicht möglich.
To prevent the gloomy scenarios from becoming reality, a special research group at iDiv develops strategies for biodiversity conservation.
Part of the research we do is about rewilding of abandoned landscapes in Europe, particularly in northern Portugal, where we have a field station. We're trying to map land use change through time, but we're also interested in biodiversity dynamics and looking at the species that might come back and how they interact. We're investigating carnivore, large herbivores, and vegetation. Protecting biodiversity is not just interesting for the sake of protecting biodiversity, it's also for all the benefits that we as a species can get from biodiversity.
Ja, wenn wir Biodiversität verstanden haben, wenn wir die Eigenschaften von den Arten kennen und wie sie miteinander interagieren, dann können wir dieses Wissen nutzen, um auch selber Ökosysteme für die Landnutzung, für die Nahrungsmittelproduktion zu designen. Man kann das Ökosystem Engineering mit Hilfe von Biodiversität nennen.
Biodiversity fascinates us. It's the basis of both life itself and of our well-being. Together, scientists from around the world are developing a new science at iDiv that enables the preservation and sustainable use of biodiversity as a resource for future generations.